Lillian the Waters, Our Victory, 1943. Note, with the exception of quotation in first paragraph, all quotations in this book are taken from the Bible. Lillian the Waters, Our Victory. Over the face of the whole world today, people who have hitherto given little or no time whatever to religion, now because of the war and its attending circumstances and conditions, are devoting considerable time and much thought to God and to spiritual things. Catastrophes, separation from loved ones, as well as other great vicissitudes of life, are literally forcing multitudes everywhere to seek help and strength from divine power. In fact, the great extremity of the moment provides a universal opportunity to the divine, for man's extremity is God's opportunity. Reader, whoever and wherever you are, even now you may be facing the incompetence and inadequacy of human strength and ability to cope with overwhelming odds against you, but you know that you have a spiritual helper, ever competent and sufficient, never limited nor restricted in any way, one that can deliver in need, trial, or emergency of any kind. Really, God may well be thought of in just this way, the great helper, who, though believed to be unseen, nevertheless is round and about you always, available just when you feel you do not know which way to turn for strength or deliverance. It seems that when human ability gives out, then the divine, if called upon, takes over and carries on. So long as one is willing to trust entirely to human thoughts and efforts, the divine remains unknown, unless some crisis or dire necessity furnishes the opportune moment. Lo, these many years, multitudes have spent a lifetime with a limited human outlook, some more or less thoughtless, never having faced a crisis or given any serious thought to life and its higher demands. Others cold, prejudiced, stubborn. Indeed, many during these past years have been heard to say, "We have no time for religion. Maybe when we are old we will come to it, but not now. Think of the fun we'd be missing." On and on they have gone, chasing after what they call a good time, giving no thought whatever to God or spiritual things. Others, realizing an inevitable day of reckoning, have sounded a warning, but to no avail. Then comes war. Overnight everything changes. Families are separated in what seems ruthless fashion. Fears, pain, blood and tears follow. Men's faces, thoughts and actions now take on new character and aim. Little do they know, little do their loved ones know, that an even greater victory than winning the war is at stake in the world today, and that in countless hearts there shall dawn a light which will overarch and transcend even the conquering of warring nations. Indivisibility, unconditional surrender. What wonderful, thrilling words, and what vibrant hidden meaning concealed therein. Not only are these words being said to the warring nations, but to you also, my friend, as a challenge from the depths of your own being, that you no longer remain ignorant of the finer and higher things of life, but learn now of truth and reality. It is written, "In God we live, move, and have our being." Ignorant of this stupendous realism, people everywhere today think of themselves as so many separate units or beings, each shut up in a mind and body of his own. This false idea of separation is the error of the ages and the cause of every trouble on the face of the earth today. As air in a room has its life in the whole air of the universe, in the same way we live, move, and have our being in the indivisible, all-inclusive God. Moreover, as air separated from the whole cannot possibly remain pure, but will become stale and stagnant, likewise, those who consider themselves individual personalities separate from God cannot possibly experience infinite good, but will continue to suffer in the appearance of their own limitations. Walls of ignorance and false belief which one allows to remain about him, obstructing the progressive viewpoint of life and being, sooner or later must go down. All this time, people have been evading the knowledge of the indivisibility of life. But now, of a certainty, they are being brought face to face with it. Some, however, do not regard this critical hour as a great adversity or trial, for earlier in life they opened their hearts to the higher light and turned to God, the all-good, when no trouble or problem drove them to it. Why must people be driven to God through sorrow or tragedy? The answer is only because they have not come before of their own free will. No matter how long impure air is kept by itself, it can be restored to its original purity. The same is true with our life and being today. No matter how despairing or hopeless one may seem, there ever exists the true answer, the perfect way. The heart turns. Reader, suppose you are in the global conflict, and at this very moment you find yourself alone on an island. Suppose that you have made every effort to find food and water and means of escape, but without avail. At last you are alone with your being, with plenty of time to think. When you were home, you may never have thought seriously about life. In fact, you may have believed you had no time for it at all. If, for instance, you suffered at times with a sick stomach, there was always the handy box of soda in the cupboard. Or if matters seemed even more serious, you knew quite well just how to drown your troubles and worries. But now, here, on this desert island, these remedies are not available. All help is cut off. You are alone with yourself. Now, at last, is your chance to turn to God. Facing the pangs of hunger and thirst and the great fear of not being rescued, a strange new question may come to you. You wonder if there is a God. As you ponder, an almost imperceptible glow of hope rises within you. You recall a verse of long ago. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Suddenly you may think, where is this Lord? Or where is this Lord? And the answer returns, I am right here with you. Was this mere fancy, or did you really hear these words? Could this be God, you ask? Quickly you rise to your feet and desperately cry out, food, food, over here, answers the voice, as though right near you. Gladly you follow as the presence guides you over a familiar trail. Suddenly you see a bush of berries. You look with amazement. Where did this come from? You exclaim. And you think, maybe there is a God after all. But these berries may be poison, you say to yourself. The voice replies, did not I provide them for you? Without another thought, you set to work to satisfy the desperate hunger within you. The awful strain is broken. New hope springs up within you. Next, you begin to cry out for water. This too you find somewhere near. Then safety, deliverance. Before long, miraculously, you are saved. Yes, when one actually discovers that I can of mine own self do nothing, and looks to God, then things begin to take place which he never before thought possible. Many overseas may now be having an experience similar to this. Even the terrible price they pay is worth it to them, since they would learn it no other way. It is truly a great event in one's life when for the first time he discovers that his mind, though educated and placed in places of great learning, is at the moment of no practical use to him. For instance, it cannot stop its own fears and turmoil, its pain, desperation, or despair. Strangely enough, in a situation of this kind, one discovers that the heart to which he has paid little or no attention all his life seems now the most vital part of him. It is the heart which wonders about God. Wherever you are, no matter what the emergency, you will always be able to turn to God, and lo, your good is right at hand. Your turning to God admits your faith, and though only a grain, this is all that is at first required of you. This turning in faith brings the sustaining guidance, strength, and courage. Indeed, at one time or another, God shall demand of each and every one unconditional surrender to the perfect, the good, and the true. Quotes, He giveth power to the faint, and to them that have no might he increaseth strength. They shall renew their strength. They shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint. Look unto me, and be ye saved, all the ends of the earth, for I am God, and there is none else. What is God? At first, one may think of God as a Superman or some intangible, elusive being in the sky. And even such imperfect idea or concept as this may work miracles in his life because of his newborn faith and sincerity. Later on in his spiritual development, he may question further and wonder just how God could be a Superman and be in all places at one time to hear and answer prayer. Jesus, the perfect teacher of all ages, said that God is spirit, and likened this to the wind or air. Everyone believes in and accepts the air, yet it cannot be seen, touched, or handled. We know of its presence in the rustle of leaves, the peace of gentle breezes, and the power of the wind. In the same way, God, spirit, mind is seen, heard, felt, and understood in the still small voice, and in the seeming miracles when to human sight there is no way. As human beings living apart from God, everything is limited, restricted, uncertain. Too little of this, too much of that, here today and gone tomorrow. To have unlimited good, we must learn the real truth about God, about life and ourselves. For instance, as a human being, one may speak of danger, loss, pain, or limitation. On the other hand, understanding the allness of God, good, you will be free from human processes and systems of thought, and you will see that there is only one cause, God, divine mind, and this is ever active, effortless, and always expressed in right results, even as the saying reads, quotes, I will make darkness light before you, and the crooked things straight. When thou passest through the waters, I will be with thee, and through the rivers, they shall not overflow thee. Be strong and of good courage, fear not, nor be afraid of them. For the Lord thy God, he it is that doth go with thee. He will not fail thee, nor forsake thee. Peace is ours, joy is ours, happiness and plenty are ours in and of the revealed truth that God is all. Verily, the great principle of life is that God is good, whole, complete, indivisible. Reader, have you ever watched black smoke as it swirled up into the air? How quickly it can fade and disappear? Similarly, when one recognizes himself to be in and of the indivisible whole, any appearance of limitation in his financial affairs, home surroundings, or bodily conditions can completely vanish. Confident that the divine mind is now owns one's own, all sense of discord is eliminated, and the consciousness of the perfection and oneness of being has its natural expression in right results here and now. Indeed, this is the whole teaching of Jesus, who exemplified the principle of life for us, that we can transcend the age-old concept of separateness and individualism and identify ourselves with the Father, infinite perfection, even as he admonished, Be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father which is in heaven is perfect. The way. Daily, in ever-increasing numbers, people are learning that there is a God, and that this God hears and answers the cry of the heart. They are learning too that God is a presence and power at hand, and not afar off. That a sudden call for help brings the answer on the instant. As for example, when the pilot jumped from his burning plane only to discover with horror that he was directly headed for the flaming mass below him. The cry that came from the heart must surely have been desperate, yearning, and true. Swift and certain came the answer, as a sudden gust of wind swept the parachute far to one side of the burning flames so that it landed him safely out of danger. Reader, are you in the service of our country, and do you now face religion for the first time? Before this moment, you may have considered religion religion as so much Greek or nonsense. But right now, in this crisis of your life, for the first time, you feel in need of something mightier than yourself. Is this not so? You may be used to planes which respond to your least touch, bombs which act on the instant, concentrated food close at hand, and now you may expect of your chaplains a religion which will work on the instant. Admitting that all human beings have their limitations, both physically and mentally, what you are really asking for is the way to spiritual strength, to spiritual wisdom and power. And with this, you wish not only to overcome the enemy, but also to survive and return home safely. Possibly your thought of death may have caused you to wonder about life, just how it can be here one moment and snuffed out the next. Hundreds of other questions may now come to you which have never occurred before. At this terrible moment, you are desperately willing to know God, that you may help yourself, your nation, and your world. And the One has been saying these many years, quotes, I will instruct and teach thee, I will guide thee with mine eye, I will restore health unto thee, and I will heal thee of thy wounds. Of course, the door of your heart being closed until now, your contact with God has been impossible. At last this is changed, for your ardent willingness to know spiritual things has automatically swung the door wide open. It is true, as your chaplain may tell you, that just faith in God will help you. But some may want further explanation of this God. Perhaps, having read to this point, you have caught a glimpse of God as indivisible life, in which you are safe, secure, and under the shadow of the Almighty. Taking your oneness with the whole as the perfect way, you will come through miraculously unharmed. Of course, it takes more vision and wisdom to see the oneness of life and being than it does to pray to an unknown God. But many will find their answer here when nothing else can satisfy them. As this understanding becomes clear to you, you can pray or think like this. My life is God, and God is my life. God is here. God is right with me. God is my ever-present help, security, and safety. I will fear no evil, for God is with me. Oneness. God is the great fountain of good, infinite health, wholeness, harmony, love, peace, happiness, ever intact, at hand, and open to all. However, only those who acknowledge their own insufficiency are ready to tap this great reservoir of all good, this ever-present reality. Early in his ministry, Jesus declared, I can of mine own self do nothing. Now then, if Jesus could say this of himself, how much more should it apply to us? He called the indivisible whole Father, and in this oneness declared, I am in the Father, and the Father in me. I am the light, I am the truth, I and my Father are one. Moreover, He promised to everyone who accepts this oneness, "The works that I do shall he do also. Go and do thou likewise." As this one, Jesus spoke to the turbulent elements, and immediately, quotes, "He maketh the storm a calm, so that the waves are still." He knew the great secret, oneness of being, and he exemplified and portrayed this for everyone. Indeed, this was the purpose of his coming. 4,000 years before Jesus appeared on earth Moses, the spiritual leader of that time. He was inspired to help his people escape from the enemy when they came to the Red Sea. Now, if Moses had been depending upon Moses alone, how different the result would have been. But impelled by the voice of the One, he commanded them to go forward, and they went into the midst of the sea and on dry land. My friend, does there appear to be a Red Sea before you? God is one and the same throughout all time, even as it is written, "I am the Lord, I change not." Right now, your feet can also be placed on dry land, so that your enemies shall be powerless to harm you. If you are reaching out for something greater than the frailties of the human self, this is your opportunity to surrender to the divine oneness. Strength and ability will then be effortless. For instance, should your arms need to perform some gigantic task and seem too weak to bend even as much as a pin, you now feel a mighty strength coursing through them, moving them at will. If eyes have been seeing and reporting the exceeding great numbers of the enemy, now when they look, they see, quotes, "They that be with us are more than they that be with them." If ears have been hearing only strains of bad news, doubts and fears, now a voice is heard to say, "This is the way, walk ye in it." Never shall you be alone again or without help after you see and accept your oneness with God and walk steadfastly in it. Good is God. God is infinite good in every way and in everything, and this good is all that is true and real of anyone. Therefore, just what is our victory? Is it not to believe in the good only, to love and serve this good in every thought and way? Right now, no matter how weak, sorrowful, or incapable you may feel, the perfect answer is at hand. All good is yours. It is the real state of life and being everywhere. Reader, will you try to understand this to be so? Will you believe in good with all your heart and to the exclusion of any other thought? Good is God. Perfection is God. Your life, immortal and eternal, is God. Your consciousness, uplifted, trustful, without fear, doubt or worry, is God. God is not some distant personage, something indescribable and unknown, but close to you, your real being, known to you, your life itself. Verily, the real and true of you, the lasting and eternal, is indeed the ever-present God. Knowledge such as this sets you free from ignorance, and you begin to understand God in a new way. So surrender your fears, tears and worries to this great and ever-present good, which from eternity has promised. I will not fail you. I will be with you always. What things soever ye desire, when ye pray, believe that ye receive them, and ye shall have them. Let go all other thoughts and trust absolutely in the good. Prayer can be a spiritual realization instead of a petitioning request. Everything that you feel you need, whether health, harmony, or safety and security from danger and despair, is already prepared for you and at hand. Else, how could you expect to have it here and now? God is the author of perfection and of nothing less. If you are at all, you are in and of the good and the perfect, nor can it be otherwise. You need not seek help from personality, nor from any operation, climate, or drug. You need only turn to God, the good, the real, and the perfect, ever present and at hand. Nor is it God's will that anyone be sorrowful or sick, suffer or die. Quote, God is light, and in him is no darkness at all. Quote, I know that whatsoever God doeth, it shall be forever. Nothing can be put to it, nor anything taken from it. That which hath been is now, and that which is to be hath already been. Verily, God is perfection of mind, thought, and body. Even the dark thoughts of the present, as well as troublesome memories of the past, can be blotted out, and life can reveal new meaning to you, new purpose and aim. It is true that as a separate thinking individual, you may fear, suffer, and be limited in all directions. But this is only because you are not aware of the real status of life, the great principle underlying everything. When God is known to be one inseparable whole, one perfect life and consciousness, then of necessity one finds himself to be in and of this whole, does he not? Effortlessly, he then comes into the experience of health, wholeness, harmony, and security. Right now, my friend, take this word to be the truth and give up your ideas to the contrary. Is this too much to ask of you in exchange for the very thing you so deeply and truly desire? Joyously and freely accept the perfection of your life to be in and of the perfect whole, even at this present instant. For if God is at all and is indivisible good, then this good must be yours now. Have faith that this is so, and you shall surely prove the truth of these wondrous words. Go in peace, thou art made whole. From this hour you shall find yourself gaining in peace of mind, health of body, and freedom from fear and limitation. The New Age. Many are wondering today why God allows the war, or why God does not stop it. Again, if God is all-powerful and all-loving, why need there be all this distress of nations? Such questions as these are reasonable and arresting, but alas, the answers can be seen only by those who have the unlimited concept of the divine mind. The unseen and impelling spiritual force in all of us is to understand God, good, and our oneness with it. Ignorant of or indifferent to this spiritual demand, people everywhere have been madly pursuing material pleasures, living in dissipation, and giving little or no time whatever to the real understanding of life and spiritual things. Indeed, the present generation, unwilling to accept the general religious belief which places heaven in a future state, has even broken away from moral standards, plunging headlong into a life of surface pleasures and self-gratification where there is no peace. The Bible tells us, God is a consuming fire. Hence, the present world conflict or conflagration may well present a world chastening or dear extremity, whereby all are given the opportunity to obey the spiritual command. Look unto me, and be ye saved, all the ends of the earth, for I am God, and there is none else. Turn unto me, come unto me, abide with me. Who is this me but the infinite, indivisible one, which includes you and me and all? Here nothing exists but the good, the real, and the true. Therefore, do not shut God out of a single experience in your life, for in the midst of every trouble, your awareness of perfect mind has its natural expression of all good in you, here and now. Right thinking is then spontaneous. Victory, peace, and love are yours. For about 2,000 years, the Christian prayer has been, Thy kingdom come, Thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Must not this prayer inevitably have its perfect answer? Indeed, the general public is fast becoming aware that a new age stands right now at our door. Quotes, the former things are passed away. Behold, I make all things new. Quotes, and except those days be aborted, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. Again, and except those days be shortened, there should no flesh be saved, but for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. Who are the elect? Those throughout the world who recognized here and now their oneness with infinite perfect being, who wait not upon the consummation of war for the establishment of peace, but accept today the challenging words of Jesus, My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. give I unto you. Quotes, the kingdom of God cometh not with observation, neither shall they say, Lo here or lo there. For behold, the kingdom of God is within you. The very word heaven speaks volumes. Immediately we think of freedom, happiness, abundance. Reader, take your stand now in heaven. Live, move, and have your being in this kingdom of perfection which is already at hand. Here alone is power and glory. Here alone is our victory. End of book by Lillian de Waters, 1943.